Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Storyist. Today, I will tell you about a man who mysteriously abandoned his wife and daughter without telling them why. He hid from them for over 20 years. When they finally did meet again, everyone was stunned and heartbroken to discover the truth of why he left. Be sure to watch the video until the end to find out why the man abandoned his wife and daughter and what made their reunion so bittersweet. The man and his wife had fallen in love at first sight. Through their relationship, they were particularly inseparable. All of their friends knew them as a couple that was deeply in love, and even joked about being jealous of the strength of their bond. The husband and wife kept no secrets between them, and the only source of tension in their relationship was from the wife's parents. The husband was from a poor family of grocers, while the wife came from a long line of wealthy landowners. Her parents made no secret about the disapproval for the husband's station in life, but even they were impressed by the dedication and love he showed their daughter. They cared too much for her to break her heart, and so they begrudgingly allowed the two to marry. After their marriage, it was not long before the wife became pregnant. Both her and her husband were overjoyed and told all their friends and family with excitement. Everyone was delighted for the recently wedded couple, even the wife's parents. Though they still looked down their noses every time they saw their son-in-law, the thrill of having a grandchild was infectious. They were nervous to be parents, but the husband and wife felt blessed. They were deeply in love and would soon have a family. The excitement grew as they found out they would be having a daughter, as they picked her name and as they shopped for her nursery. Everything seemed to be going perfectly for the young, happy couple. That was until the day of their daughter's birth. The couple rushed to the hospital together, full of nerves and excitement. The husband stayed by the wife's side as they were taken to the maternity ward. He held her hand tightly and did his best to help her as she gave birth. He seemed every bit the loving, caring husband she'd always known, up until the moment he held their daughter in his arms. He looked at his daughter intently, then said he left something in the car. He'd get it, then be right back. That was the last she saw him for over 20 years. When he never returned, the wife was heartbroken. She waited at the hospital for days, insisting something must have happened to him. It took the hospital security showing her video footage of her husband getting into their car and wordlessly driving away before she finally lost hope. She fell into a deep depression, realizing her and her daughter had been abandoned. The wife's parents, on the other hand, were furious. They felt bad for their daughter, but also couldn't help but tell her, "I told you so." They felt justified. They had been right to assume the man was nothing but a gold digger, trying to take advantage of the family wealth. If only she had listened to them, everything could have been avoided. Her parents berated her and her choice in men, pointing out every trait of his that should have been a red flag. The wife, heartbroken and feeling that her parents were right, said that she would never love again. As the years went by, the daughter grew older. She turned into a beautiful, smart young woman. She had a strong relationship with her mother, but often wondered what life would have been like if her father was around. Though she often asked about her father, she'd always received the same answer. He had been a greedy, deceitful man who abandoned them the day she was born. It didn't make sense to her. How could he have seen her, held her, only to immediately leave her? Gradually, she came to understand that this was her reality. By the time she turned 20, she hated her absent father, the man who'd senselessly abandoned her and her mother so long ago. It was shortly after her 20th birthday that she received a letter. She was shocked to find it was from her father. She thought about burning it without reading, but her mother urged her to at least keep the letter in case she changed her mind. Eventually, curiosity got the best of her. She had to know what could be so important that after 20 years of silence, her father had written. In his letter, he said he was very sick and did not have long to live. But she had no interest in seeing this lying, horrible man. For all she knew, he was lying about his illness and trying to take advantage of her family again. But then, her mother revealed she had received a similar letter and had been secretly visiting her estranged husband for weeks. Her mother knew the pain and confusion her daughter must be feeling. She didn't want to force her to visit this man, who was all but a stranger. But after days of encouraging her to go, the daughter finally relented. She would meet her father for the first time in her life. When she went to the hospital and saw him, she was surprised by how frail and weak he looked. She tentatively greeted him, unsure of how he would react. He was so excited to see her that he started coughing, and the doctors forced her to leave and let him rest. She was shocked at the affection he tried to show her. Could this really be the man who left her all these years ago? She left the hospital, but couldn't stop thinking about her visit. She decided she had to return. Her father was calmer when she came back the next day. He apologized for getting too excited and told her he was just so thankful she was there. She told him that she honestly wasn't sure why she had come. She asked him how he could expect her to care for him when he had abandoned her as a baby. Her father sighed deeply and looked up at her with tears in his eyes. He said she deserved to know why he had left her so long ago. As he told his story, he began to cry. When he had held his daughter on the day of her birth, he had felt an overwhelming sense of pure, unconditional love for her. It was so strong that it made how he felt for his wife feel insignificant in comparison. But the sensation quickly turned to one of overwhelming dread. As he felt her weight and how delicate she was, he couldn't help but imagine all the ways he could fail her. Her grandparents already disapproved of him so much, and he had long struggled with feelings of inferiority. Though his wife always comforted him, some part of him always knew he was letting her down by not being a wealthier or more successful man. The idea that he would now also be letting down and failing his daughter, this seemingly perfect angel before him, was too much. He had panicked and fled, afraid of being a disappointment to her. He told her now how stupid he realized he'd been. She began to cry as well, but part of her was still hurt. He had abandoned his family just because he was afraid. Still, his daughter thought how nervous and afraid she had been before meeting him. She could understand and relate to him in a way, but she was now overwhelmed with emotion, knowing she had only a short, uncertain time left to get to know her dad. She wiped her eyes, resolving to cherish every moment they had left together. Their family finally reunited. She spent her father's last few weeks together with him and her mother until he drew his final breath. He died with his wife and daughter by his side, at peace with what he'd done at long last. If you liked this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And make sure you turn on the notification bell. We'll see you in the next story.